So the mitochondria, yes, they produce energy. And I believe that per cell, there's thousands? Are there about 5,000 mitochondria per cell, 10,000?
Depends on how metabolic the cell is. So our neurons will have 20, 30,000. Our skeletal muscles will have 10, 20,000. Then you get to like the immune cell, which will have 100 to 1,000. So it really depends on how metabolic the cell type is. Your cardiac cell will also have lots of them.
Yeah. And they're responsible for every time we eat something and it breaks it down. But the problem that we're having, which what we see in chronic disease, is these cells not only are becoming dysfunctional, but they're also dying. I mean, the mitochondria is dying. Is that correct?
They're damaged. They're damaged. So in our bodies, if you look at a mitochondrial life cycle, it's almost like the real estate of a neighborhood that if you live in, you always have good buildings and bad buildings. So in our bodies or in our cells, you always have good, healthy mitochondria, and then you have the damaged ones. And it's like a cycle. The damaged ones get recycled as building blocks for the new, healthier ones. What happens with aging or with neurodegeneration, for example, with Parkinson's disease, is these damaged mitochondria just cannot be recycled very efficiently. And so you get this, instead of 50-50 ratio, you get shift to 20 healthy and 80 bad damaged mitochondria. And that's why you need to get these damaged mitochondria out from your cells.
And how does our mitochondria become damaged?
So many ways. Diet, probably sugar, excess sugar intake. They just can't keep at it. They need time to renew and regenerate. So
why is that? Is that because the glucose goes into the cell and the mitochondria just can't take glucose?
Yeah, I mean, they like to burn fat, they prefer fatty acid oxidation, but they will also do the glucose burnout. And then that's their preference is to use fuel is mostly fat utilization. Excessive glucose kind of impairs them. They just
excessive
glucose. Yes. So they are, of course, there to metabolize glucose. In our muscle cells, if you look, there's thousands of mitochondria. And they have these glucose uptake receptors, and that's what they do. They kind of metabolize glucose, but it's really the excessive sugar intake and the glucose that we have. Second is the sedentary activity. It's what we call now the bioenergetic hypothesis. We need to use the energy our body is producing, otherwise it kind of just goes away and these mitochondria feel useless and they degenerate, they become zombie-like. And we see that. I've done studies with 75-year-olds who run marathons versus 75-year-olds who are very sedentary. And the top 30 genes, if you do biopsies, are all linked to mitochondria. So it's fascinating. Damaged mitochondria just overtake the good ones.
It's